Welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, where today we'll be discussing the 50-Year Member Part 6, Secrets, by Midnight Freemason contributor Bill Hosler.
Ladies and gentlemen, brethren all, welcome to the Working Tools Podcast, a casual conversation around Freemasonry. First, it's important to note that our thoughts and opinions are our own and do not reflect those of our Grand Lodge or respective craft or concordant bodies. Please connect with us and ask questions via our website at theworkingtoolspodcast.com.
Today on the Working Tools Podcast, we have me. I'm Very Worshipful Brother Matt Appel, and I'm a member of Mill Creek Lodge number 243 here in Montlake Terrace, Washington. We also have Worshipful Brother Jarrod Dunham of Penticton Lodge 147 in British Columbia. Very Worshipful Brother David Colbeth from King Solomon number 60 in Auburn, Washington. And Worshipful Brother Stephen Chung from Prince Charles 153 up in Kelowna, British Columbia. So thank you all for being here. I don't know why I'm thanking you. You're the people who are always here. Why am I? You're just expected to be here. So the once again the fools let me decide on an article. So I picked another one from the Midnight Freemasons, titled another from the archives. It's the 50-Year Member Part 6 Secrets. So there's a whole series of 50-year member articles there, and they're sort of, in my mind, they're very reminiscent of the old Tyler Talks articles by Carl Claudy. Was that his name? About where the old wizened guy sits and talks to the new youngin, and they talk out some of the issues of Masonry. And of course, the old guy's always right, which the four of us can clearly attest to. So again, kind of like the other article, it takes a little while to get into the meat of the subject, but essentially the heart of it is in sort of towards the end there. The 50-year member starts talking about what the real message is of Masonry, what the real secret of Masonry is. And it's not the handshakes, and it's not the secret words, and it's not the whatever, but it's the improvement and the self-improvement that one can derive from Masonry. What were you guys' thoughts on the article? Did you think it was go?
I often will demonstrate to a newer, either somebody that's inquiring or a new initiate or someone that's kind of just learning about Masonry, like I'm the most knowledgeable in the room. But if the people are talking about the secrets of Masonry, what can they say, what they can't say, what is Masonry about, what is all that, and they say, well, there's secrets, you can't reveal the secrets or whatever. And I'll often extend my hand to shake their hand or somebody in the group to demonstrate that. And I say, to me, the secrets of Freemasonry are in this handshake. It's not that the shake is secret or the grip is secret or the whatever the words. Yes, there's some things we're not supposed to reveal, but to me, the secret of Masonry is what that handshake represents: the obligations we've taken to each other, the commitments that we make to each other about, like our last show was talking about, the things that we do to make ourselves better, and hopefully in that process will make you a better person as well. But you have to, as we talked about on the show, you have to make the effort. You have to put something in to get something out, Jarrod.
I was going to double dog dare you to say you have to, what you get out of it, what you put into it.
But to me, that's the secrets of Masonry are in that handshake. It's not, and it's just a way to express that there aren't really secrets. Yes, again, they're secret work, but it's just that they're intangibles. They're really intangibles. The secrets of Freemasonry, to me.
I feel like I kind of have a similar feeling about. I can see Jarrod, the wheels spinning in Jarrod's head. I kind of feel the same way, that the journey I have taken in Freemasonry is not one that I could explain to someone clearly. And does that make it a secret? I'm not quite sure that makes it a secret, but it's my journey, and it's not something that I could convey to someone else. I guess that, I don't know if that makes it a secret or not.
I could probably convey that journey, the story, but it would be a hell of a long night. So I don't know that there's many secrets in my journey, if you will. So I don't know that I can really relate with what they're saying there. But I mean, I can relate with the part where Pudge's mother, is he one of them, right? Thinking that he's a cult member and has all these secrets, but because that's what everybody thinks. But I don't know that. I really, I don't know. I'm impartial on this one.
And until I got to the next section, when that exact statement, I thought in my mind I had already formulated what that answer was about. Is he one of them? But I wanted to, in my mind's heart, I wanted to say, is she asking it as an endearment question? Like, oh, is he one of them? Because we're going to take his son or help her son become a better man. And then I got to the next part and it was already formulated in my mind that, of course, no, it's the negative controversy about Masonry and Catholicism and all that, but and the church, I guess, doesn't have to be Catholicism necessarily, but part of me thinks that wouldn't it be cool if it was the opposite idea? What if she was really actually saying, oh, is he one of them? Like we're a sought after idea.
Not just a bunch of grumpy old past masters.
Speak for yourself. I also did like the idea that he talked about it's the secrets within us. The secret of Freemasonry is the secret within us. And what are those secrets? Those things we may or may not want to tell ourselves or tell other people about, or whoever, people that are close to us that we need to work on to try to chip away at the ashlar. We talked about the ashlar and the rough ashlar and the perfect ashlar. And so those things that we need to work on that are secret to us, like, if somebody's, I remember I go back to the story of one of the guys in that I know that he would tell me, I was very Masonic today, David. I said, what does that mean? He said, well, I didn't jump out of my truck and curse that guy out like I normally did. And okay, to me, that may not be Masonic specifically, but I get what he's saying. In his heart of hearts, in his secret, he was chipping away at the idea of who he may have normally been. And as I was reading the article, I thought, oh, how am I? I'm reminded again, how am I interacting with people? How am I interacting at work? Am I trying to fit in, or am I trying to be me, or who I think I should be, under the eyes of Masonry and the ideas of morality? And sometimes I think, I'm probably doing some things to fit in. Swearing, maybe if you're just a few of you and you swear to say something, is that really who I am, or is that who I want to be as part of the group? The guys are guys, and that comes out. Was that really who I want to be? I don't know if I would swear normally. If I hit my hand, I probably would. Hit my thumb, I probably would. But I don't know.
I'll pipe in. Well, no, but going on what David says is that when he brings about that part, is that you're told that you're first made a Freemason in your heart. And for me, that's always been that line always resonates with me, is that you were honest with yourself, because that you can't lie to yourself. And so, like, when it would, I mean, it was a slug to get to the message, but the message was good.
But you can lie to yourself, and if you lie to yourself enough, you'll believe it.
No, you always know the honesty. If you truly look inward, which is what we're supposed to do, you will always find the truth. Because you're on it.
But does the truth get altered after you tell yourself a lie long enough?
No, because you're lying to yourself. But that's why, and then by knowing that you're lying to yourself is when you decide to improve yourself and become a better person.
And through those interactions, like we talked about last show, those interactions with each other, hopefully we'll find ways to chip away at those things and to be a better person, right? And the idea of the self lie will always come to the front because we should be confronted by those issues on a regular basis, especially as a master mason. We're charged to whisper in another guy's ear. How do we do that? How often are we really doing that? Maybe some of us are doing it more than others should be. I mean, I gotta, maybe I should be a little better about whispering and not. But yeah, being able to help each other. I remember one of our masters, he was talking about the ritual specifically, but in general, the idea we've used it several times. And just one of our other guys in the lodge brought up the other night. He said, "Who is it that guy that said, if we can't fail in front of this group, who else can we fail in front of?" And I thought, wow, this past master had some really great sayings. It kind of like the stories. It took a little while to get there, but it always ended up with a great idea in the end. And just like in lodge, if we can't fail in front of our brothers, who else can we fail in front of? This is supposed to be, I think, a band of brothers. We talk about that, a very close-knit group of guys that we should almost be able to bear our souls to. And if we can't do that, then again, what are we doing this for? Who are these people we're interacting with? And hopefully maybe my message, if it was me bearing my soul, maybe my message of disparity or concern or wanting is just what that person needed. And now they're able to understand and to open up as well. I mean, some of our social nights in the last 6 months, we've had a couple of instances where there's 2 or 3 of us left over at the end. That's the premise of the Working Tools podcast is a casual conversation, right? We have these casual conversations, the meeting after the meeting after the meeting. And there's been a couple of times in our social nights where there's 2 or 3 of us left over, and it turns to a pretty serious note of their disparity in life, and they're trying to figure things out, and the opportunity. I wouldn't have had that, I don't think, without that interaction with and the trusting nature of the masonry and that close-knit network of guys. Now, again, I'm not saying you wouldn't find that in another avenue, maybe through a religious organization or some other group that you might have, and you may have, or some other men's group or some other whatever. In this case, it happens to be masonry for us and for me, but it's certainly an opportunity to have that avenue. They're letting me stand on my soapbox, and nobody's wanting to. no disagreements. A couple of head nods, a couple of head.
Well, I can't disagree with you because I've said that before. I mean, when we discussed on the episode where we talked about Freemason, like how being in Freemasonry made you a better businessman. Like, and it was the same thing, is that if I would, it allows you to have the ability to lead a group where there's no backstabbing. Like, everyone wants you to succeed. So you can stumble and your brothers will lift you up and show you the way. Oh my God. That's just, but well, it was like in the last article we read, it had that line where we say, you see, you want to emulate something you see in another brother. Like, we have lines in our ritual that says, what you see good in other brothers, emulate in yourself. And I mean, that's the whole point of the association, is that, if, you go to a lodge and there's, say, some brother who talks amazingly on some subject, you might be inspired to research that subject yourself. So, you improve your knowledge on some weird, I don't know, esoteric, or, it could be something just as simple as, dress codes. I mean, going to lodge is, not necessarily down there. You guys don't tend to wear suits, do you? You like to go around in your flip-flops and no, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. Yeah.
But still, it's like,
flip-flops, that's us.
That's you guys. I totally derailed there. But I guess just like wearing a suit to lodge just makes you act differently.
Yeah, for sure. I'm a firm believer in the idea of dressing up, whatever that means to somebody. If it's easier just to be in a tux, great. I mean, for me, I just have the tux, and it's easier I wear all the time. But if a guy black suit, dark suit, whatever. If it's just a shirt and a tie, I mean, if that's what he can do at the moment, great. I mean, of course, we'd hope that it would advance himself because, yeah, the nicer you dress, the better you will feel generally. Now, if you're wearing clothes that are too tight or too big in some cases, if it's hand me down or something that might not feel good about yourself, but generally, if you're dressed up, you feel better about yourself.
But we are also taught to look at ourselves and realize the things that we can change. Like if you, as you were saying, the gentleman that all he can afford right now is a shirt and tie, but he'll look around the lodge and go, everyone looks pretty snazzy in their suits. Maybe I should, find a way to squirrel aside a little bit and I'll get myself a suit for, next year or something like that.
And that develops discipline in himself, right?
Yeah.
It's a trait that is favorable.
Yeah.
It seems like a small thing, but it's just one step towards progression and chipping away at those superfluities of life. Yes.
Yeah. Maybe he realizes that there's something in his life that he can do without, that extra. They always seem to use that extra cup of coffee, but I don't think that's fair. I think we need that much coffee in our lives.
Well, when you live in the Great White North, yeah.
I concur.
But yeah, there's always a little something that you can do to improve the situation that you're in right now.
Well, in here, it talks about, us actually having the tools to improve ourselves and, via the lectures and the working tools and the different readings that we have. I think that is pretty accurate, when we get down to the latter part of this document about, how we do these things and what we're using to do them. We are improving ourselves and it's through the work that's being done.
I'd be curious to know how many lodges are actually taking time to study the lectures and study. Yeah, of course it's delivered and then everybody goes home and you come back to lodge the next day or whatever. But are you really taking time to study what the lecture is saying or what some of the charges are saying?
I was starting to do that in my lodge, analyzing the different lectures and the different pieces of work that we do frequently do. And but then I got replaced as the the education officer as I took on the district education officer role, and now I'm not in charge of the education in our lodge, and he just reads a story or reads an article every time, and now we don't talk about it. So another example of having a little gavel that I'm not in control of. Right. So as much as it was really cool to start that idea and that opening up the floor for conversation about the different readings that we had, I wished it had continued. I think we were making pretty good progress with it because we were actually carrying more of that conversation into the festive board after, so that it could be more casual and guys could talk more freely about it. I think it's a great idea to do things that way.
So do you think that the stuff that we talk about in lodge is, I don't know what the word is, secret might not be the word, but secret?
Proprietary?
Well, I don't know. I wouldn't say that it's secret because, I could find this all online, right? So how secret is it really? Not so secret in my mind, man.
And I even mean beyond whatever the ritual. I mean, like, whatever. Frank, we'll talk about that lousy Frank again, since if you listen to our last episode, I made up a frictional Mason named Frank who I really don't like. But that lousy Frank gets up and talks about whatever, spouts off his opinion about some subject. Is what happens in the lodge in that environment, is that secret? Is that something we can share outside the lodge?
The debatable thing that he discussed?
Yeah, whatever he said, even if it was, I mean, I'm not saying he got up and said something horrible, but whatever Frank said we shouldn't pay our per capita to Grand Lodge this year, or whatever. Just something outlandish or whatever. Yeah.
I think it would depend on what it was, of course, or if it's supposed to be debated. I'll admit I have a hard time myself. The idea of keeping the secrets of a master mason, it's one of the things we're supposed to obligate ourselves to. Well, what does that really mean?
It means if you're told something in confidence by him, right? I believe that's what that refers to.
No, the secrets of a master mason are modes of recognition. If someone tells you something in confidence, you're just supposed to keep it confident. That's not a master mason thing. That's an everything thing.
You don't have anything in your ritual about that?
Oh no, we have it in our ritual, but I don't think that's it. Like when we talk about the secrets of of a mason, like in our ritual, in my opinion, we're talking about modes of recognition. How do you know someone to be one?
Yeah, that is what we say is those are really the only secrets in Freemasonry are the modes of recognition. But there's a part in the ritual where we agree to keep the secrets of a brother.
Murder and treason accepting.
Right.
Unless you're in England.
When you come to me and tell me something and you acknowledge that it's to be kept secret, to be kept between us, right? I'm obligated to keep that between us, and I believe in Masonry because I've actually taken that oath. I'm more obligated to do that for my brother than I am somebody outside a lodge who rightfully I should. It's just the thing you should do. But in Masonry, I've taken that obligation. It's one step further, right?
So I ask at least partially because this article is about secrets, and I had a guy who I knew, or still know, a guy who I know who's I thought was going to be a good candidate for Masonry and sort of had expressed some interest. And he apparently talked with his decided that he was because he asked me, what happens in lodge, is that secret or whatever? And I was like, well, I wouldn't call it secret necessarily, but it's it's private. It's not necessarily stuff we want to share with the outside world all the time. And he and his wife apparently had taken a commitment to each other to keep no secrets from each other whatsoever. But so my thought was, and I said this to him, he was a financial advisor, was his job. And I said, so do you tell your wife the social security numbers of all the people you're a financial advisor for? Because that's private information, right? I mean, no one tells everyone everything. That would be crazy.
Right. And I have a similar situation, Jarrod, as well. I mean, in my business, my practice, there's things that are completely secret, fiduciary secrets that you can't disclose.
Yeah. I mean, it's common practice that I can neither confirm nor deny if someone is a client. But once again, like people that say they're never going to keep secrets from their spouse, bullshit. But the problem is that shows that there's once again, it's that absolute again. Is it really a secret that you're keeping from them, or is it just information they don't really need to know? Like there's a difference between what we do in lodge and if I'm squirreling away $1,000 a month that my wife doesn't know about. Those are two different kinds of secrets. One I should tell my wife about. One I don't feel is necessary. And trust me, we don't keep secrets. But
well, I mean that's a very good point. Like it kills me. I cringe every time I hear one of the lodge brothers say, "Well, my wife knows this work better than I do because she helps me practice it." Right? I'm the guy who goes out to the garage and practices my ritual in the cold because no, she shouldn't hear it. I've taken an oath not to share that information. Yes, it's available online, but in all reality, she has no desire to know it, right? And so I believe that it's still my right or my duty to not expose her to it, even though she really could care less. My book, it's sitting on my nightstand. She could easily walk by, pick it up, and say, "Hey, you know," and read it without me knowing. But she wouldn't. She has no desire to. So I really, it's one of those things I'm always torn with, but I cringe every single time I hear it. My wife knows my work better than I do. She shouldn't. All
I
right.
think I thought it's just occurring to me because part of spousal secrets and stuff like that is keeping that secret from your spouse going to hurt them or not? Like, and no, and that's where I like, this is once again, you can take the absolute of I'm not keeping any secrets from, and this totally tied off, but and without thinking that, that, and what we are taught is that concept of contemplation of, I don't keep secrets from my wife, but she doesn't know the secrets of Freemasonry. Is her not knowing the secrets of Freemasonry harming her? No. Then I don't feel that I'm actually doing something wrong by not telling her.
Right.
And that's
whereas my brother doesn't attend lodge because his wife doesn't think he should be going somewhere where she can't know what's going on. Right. I have issue with that on a few different levels, right? But I think he's depriving himself of, good things in his life journey that he otherwise could easily be enjoying.
But I think these secrets issues are more a matter of trust and not the secrets that we're talking about from the story of chipping away at the issues in your life, right? This it's an interesting topic. We could probably talk for half an hour about the secrets of life and what, trust issues, if you will, and there's a whole sections in our lectures and our charges about these kind of things amongst ourselves, which then should spill over into society, how we deal with people and our spouses and friends and coworkers and things as well. But I don't know that that's the same secrets that it's this. It may be though. Maybe that you're having an issue keeping secrets from somebody, and that's something you need to work on. Determining in your life whether it's, like Jarrod said, it's a secret that isn't going to affect them, so then it's not a big deal. Or it maybe is an issue that you're keeping secrets, and you need to work on figuring out how to release that. Maybe you're being burdened, and you're being weighted down mentally with things that you're keeping in, and you need to figure out a way to release those and to talk about them. And again, what a better avenue than people you can trust in theory.
I'm reminded of
Okay,
when I was
Jarrod, I won't let your wife know that you're putting $1,000 a month away.
So we can buy her the new Maserati. So it's going to benefit her in the long run. The reminded of a time when I was master the first time. We were going to do a first degree for the first time, and there's a little brief prayer right in the beginning that the master does, and it's not it's monitorial. In our work, it's spelled out in the cipher. It's not in code. So in theory, one could tell someone else about it. And so I was practicing it as I was shaving in the bathroom, and I was talking it to myself, trying not to cut myself. And my wife was in the bedroom, and she goes, "I can hear you, right?" Because she didn't want me spilling the secrets. And I was like, "You're okay."
It's only a prayer, Mo. It's only a prayer, Yeah.
I know we're getting close to the end here too, but one thing I was thinking about earlier was that we don't really talked about the idea of this 50-year Mason is the one that's going to pick up the young guys, instead of the other way around. A lot of times we think of the 50-year Mason probably needs that support and help and check in, maybe even a ride to the lodge, where it's the other way around, that he's actually going out and picking up. And so I would challenge all of us to look at our ourselves and chip away? Should we, as quote unquote younger or senior Masons, depending on where you stand, should we be going and picking up guys, even if they could drive? Boy, wouldn't it be cool to have that extra half hour sitting in a car, the meeting after the meeting, talking with each other about things?
I do that often. I pick up the older guys that live in my neck of the woods and bring them to lodge. But I got the impression in this article that he was more of this fellow's mentor, and so he was picking him up, bringing him to lodge, right?
Yeah, but aren't we all
guys,
charged? Aren't we all charged with being mentors? So maybe essentially,
no, we're not. No, it's jobs that are given in lodge here, anyways. We have mentors and we have coaches and we have sponsors, and they're all different roles. So
we're all charged to be inspirational, but not necessarily in charge of mentoring. And I think that's the difference. I think at least when David said, aren't we all supposed to be, I think what you really like, we're all supposed to be inspirational, like that they should look up to us, but not everyone can guide is qualified. Oh, there's that word again, to necessarily guide someone through their Masonic experience, especially when they're new.
There's a whole show in that answer.
There is. We could. Is someone writing down these topics so that we can?
Why aren't we expected to have a mentor ability? And again, it's a rhetorical question. We don't have time to answer it right now. But why aren't we expected to be able to? Yes, I understand people have different abilities. Some are leaders, some are followers, some are they have everybody should have a place. Hopefully, mesh together. But expectations are key.
Yes, they are, and I don't know. I don't think we are all expected to, for good reason. We're not all capable of it, right? And there was we were at a thing this weekend, and was there with Jarrod, where it was brought up about first line sponsors not being around and taking on that mentorship role. And I mentioned that it was brought up and discussed in our lodge because we have a few guys that they've sponsored many brothers into our lodge, but they're not the mentor type, nor do they have time or desire to be a mentor. And when it was brought up that first line signers would have to take that role, we had guys saying, I just won't sign. I won't be the first line signer for a guy. And now what would that do to membership in lodge? So we quickly snuffed that out and said, okay, well, it's not expected. And then it wasn't shortly thereafter that Grand Lodge came out with the 6 step in the mentorship program, and where it quickly laid out that this was, you were to pick brethren that had the time to be able to dedicate to mentoring, because it is a very involved process and a lengthy process, right? So I'm glad that came out, because it proved the point.
And on that note, I think we've diverged sufficiently from the article that we've met our quota for distance from the original subject matter to move on. But on behalf of David and Jarrod and Stephen and myself, I want to thank you all for listening. Again, feel free to comment on the either on the original on the Midnight Freemason site or with us on our various Facebook and YouTube, etc. platforms. And we look forward to hearing from you. This will be the last of our article, I think, assuming our recordings go as per schedule. This will be the last of our articles our episodes that are going to be focusing on one shorter article like this. We're probably going to do a wrap up next episode of our favorite and least favorite and stuff that's happened in the last year on the pod. And then after that, we're going to tackle something big, I think is the goal for next year, for early next year. So we're going to work on doing one larger or two larger pieces and talk about them for several weeks in a row. So we look forward to getting our teeth into metaphorical teeth into that, not the real teeth. Please don't eat the paper. And So we hope you'll enjoy those episodes, and we look forward to making them. And we look forward to talking to you again next time on the Working Tools Podcast. Goodbye.